Alright everybody, before you get into the job, you need the right tools to remove the plant. And these are the two tools that I use for removing a yucca plant. They are that simple, and even made more simply if you have or use the right tools for the job. Now the chainsaw, of course, is to cut the plant down and then to be able to cut it up into sections to remove out of the ground. Now depending on the size of your plant will depend on really the type of tools you use, but these are two, what I've found over the years, the best to remove a yucca plant out of the area. Now the plant you'll see in the video is a huge one that I removed from my garden. So I needed, this is a 14-inch bar chainsaw and a decent crowbar or fence bar or whatever you call it in other countries. That's what it's known here in Australia. And that's what we use for leverage and getting the plant out, as you'll quickly soon see in the video. Now, if you don't have a chainsaw, you can also get away with using what's known as a reciprocating saw. I'll put a picture up on the screen here and you can see what I'm talking about, but that's also obviously a tool that can be used for cutting. And it's a perfect tool also if you don't have a chainsaw. Now, if you don't have any of these tools, just make contact with your local hire company and they will probably have these tools for you to be able to hire for the day or whatever. But check with your local hire company and they might be able to sort you out with a saw and a crowbar to remove the yuccas. But anyway, that's the two tools you use. Of course, with any tools that involve cutting, make sure they are sharp before you get into cutting. It just makes the job way easier. But anyway, let's get into how to remove a yucca.
Okay, so first things first, of course, you want to remove the bulk of the tree. So I've just done that with my handsaw and the chainsaw here and just cutting it down to the base as low as you can. So once you've done that, then you want to start making cuts either in half or in quarters, depending on the size of your yucca. As you can see, the size of mine is massive. You can tell by like my leg size to the size of the actual yucca. Now, once you've cut it up into quarters or halves, you want to obviously grab your crowbar or whatever you're using to pry it open and start to basically pry it apart. And you'll quickly find these do not go deep at all. They have very like minimal root system underneath them. It kind of looks like, I mean, sorry to say this out there who's bald, but it basically looks like a bald person with a few little hairs on top of their head. That's what the root system is like underneath. There's really not much to them, thankfully, and that's what makes yuccas so easy to remove with the right tools. You might just need to jiggle them around. I had to dig around this one because this one unfortunately had weed matting all underneath it, under the mulch that you can't see, and the roots were really gripping onto the old weed matting, which kind of make really this whole garden makeover a real somewhat of a nightmare, or it just took a lot longer than normal having to get this old weed matting out of there. You can sort of see the roots now under the yucca of what they're like, and like I mentioned, there's really not much to them at all. I was just trying to pry them out of the weed matting. There you go, you can see a close-up now. That's all there is to a yucca. So they can be quite confronting plant to look at, but once you start to get into them and once you know how to cut them up correctly, it makes removal far easier than that. But like I said, depending on the size of your yucca, this one in my own backyard was probably the biggest yucca I've removed. It probably had a circumference of about probably 1.5 meters, which is a bit of a doozy. So yeah, but that's it. I've just leaving the last one out. Now, I didn't remove these other yucca quarters that I pulled out because you can use them as leverage. Some of them get a little bit stuck. Again, this one is more just stuck in the weed matting, unfortunately, but I kept the other quarters there to use them as leverage with the crowbar just to make it out. You can see the weed matting there that's just ripped all through it, but I finally got it out and it really was not a tough job. So if you've got a yucca that's a lot smaller than this one, like these other ones you see in the video now, these were all much smaller yuccas. Now, bear in mind, a yucca is really fibrous, but there's a lot of moisture through it, so it does make for really easy cutting. But bear in mind, it will block up your chainsaw quite quickly, the fiber, just obviously being moisture, it's wet and sticky. Now, this is a bit of a small saw, so there's not a big power of grunt through it. It's a battery still saw. I mean, it's just all I need to do the job, but you certainly could use something a bit more powerful and your saw won't block up. But just bear that in mind. If you're using a bit of a smaller saw, you might have to stop and unclog the chain and bar. But yeah, that's it. That's just a bit of a look at how it used to look, and that's how it looks now. Alright everybody, so that's it. That's how you remove a yucca plant out of the garden or area wherever you're removing your yucca plant from. Now if you missed the full garden makeover video, I'll leave the link up in the description here, or go back onto the MoTime channel and you can click on that garden makeover video where I literally ripped out absolutely everything, including the plants, the old soil, some old weed matting that was hiding underneath, which was an absolute awful dig. But I got it all out and I installed all new stuff along with the pencil pines you see behind me. So yeah, if you missed that, go back onto the MoTime channel and check that out for the full garden install with a bit of education along in that video as well. And you'll see the big frangipani that I dug out over in the corner there. That was quite the effort, but I got there in the end, thankfully. So go check that video out and click the thumbs up button on that video if you enjoyed it. But yeah, if you've got anything to add or something you might like to, you know, let people know who are watching this video, put it in the comments below so we can all learn from it as well. That may have helped you get a yucca plant out of the garden as well. But at the end of the day, they're quite an extreme plant to look at, but they are not extremely difficult to get out of the garden. They're quite easy, as you would have seen in the video. But anyway, if you're new to the channel, make sure you click the subscribe button to help the MoTime channel out and stay up to date with more garden and lawn educational videos and product reviews coming in 2024. Anyway, I hope you're all doing well mentally and physically. We'll see you all in the next video.